Welcome to Primary ypww. Lesson 1. I do not own the rights to this music. Today's topic is Our Holy God is Worthy. The lesson scripture is coming out of Isaiah chapter 6 verses 1 through 8. And that reads, In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw also the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. Above it stood the seraphims. Each one had 6 wings. With twain he covered his face, and with twain he covered his feet, and with twain he did fly. And one cried unto another, and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. And the posts of the door moved at the voice of him that cried, and the house was filled with smoke. Then said I, Woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Then flew one of the seraphims unto me, having a live coal in his hand, which he had taken with the tongues from off the altar, and he laid it upon my mouth, and said, Lo, this have touched thy lips, and thine iniquity is taken away, and thy sin purged. Also I heard the voice of the Lord, saying, Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Then said I, Here am I, send me. The memory verse for today's lesson is, And one cried unto another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. And that's Isaiah chapter 6, verse 3. The target for today's lesson. The Lord wants children to know that God is worthy of praise and worship him. The introduction says, Isaiah was the son of a prophet named Amos. The name Amos meant strong and brave. Isaiah grew up and became a prophet like his dad. His name meant the salvation of the Lord. He heard from God and obeyed the call. This was proof of his dedication to God. He was strong, brave, and preached salvation. Isaiah recognized that the greatness was not in himself, but in the Lord. Isaiah was called to be the watchman for God. He prophesied about God's judgment upon Israel. He warned of the people's exile. This meant they would be deported or expelled from their homeland, but he gave them hope in God's promised restoration. Isaiah prophesied about the coming of Jesus as the Messiah. He told of God's punishment upon all who rebelled. He foretold how enemies would overthrow Israel. He was called by God to be a true prophet. The year Israel's king died, Isaiah had a great vision. He saw the throne of God, high and lifted, which meant that no one was greater than God. He honored God's authority as the highest king. Winged heavenly hosts, called seraphim, were flying around and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord. The holy, holy, holy cry showed that God was worthy of continuous praise. They shouted, The whole earth is full of his glory. The doorpost shook, and the temple became filled with the glory of God. Isaiah saw the power and presence of God. He is worthy of all glory and praise. Isaiah realized his unworthiness and shortcoming. He repented. God took away his sin by placing a piece of coal on his lips. Then Isaiah was ready to preach and be a true prophet. The questions for today's lesson, and you can search the scriptures and get help from a grown-up. Question 1. Who was Isaiah's dad? What did his name mean? What does Isaiah's name mean? Question 2. What unusual thing did Isaiah do for 3 years? Whom did Isaiah prophesy was coming? Question 3. Who cried, "Holy is the Lord"? What touched Isaiah's lips when he repented? The end. God bless you and thank you for joining me today.